Hi, everyone. Welcome to Left Undone, Incomplete Investigations. I'm having a camera issue, but I'm working on it. But we wanted to get together tonight, since it was trial day one, and give you all the scoop. If you're new here, please say hello. Think about subscribing. Hit the thumbs up. My name is Kathy. We've been following this case for 3 years, and I see all my people there. So I am going to bring in Idaho Mom Reports. She is here and ready, and she can give you the scoop because she was at the trial all day. So I'm just going to listen like you guys. And here she is. Hello.
Hi, Kathy. Hi, everyone.
I can hear you. I think they can hear you fine. I'm just working on my camera still. So you go ahead and tell us about the day. And this is everyone. This is Idaho Mom Reports. If you don't know her, she is at the trial. She is local to the area, and she is our correspondent. Thanks. Thank you so much again for doing this. It's so appreciative.
My pleasure. It's been a roller coaster, and I appreciate everyone that's followed it for the last 3 years. I know this is coming as a relief to me and to a lot of people, and it's actually, now that I think about it, it's actually quite humbling to be in court with Kay, Larry, and everyone, and and it really is kind of a sacred thing, actually getting justice for people. And everything seemed to go smoothly. I did report on Discord. I know not all of your viewers follow Discord. I would highly encourage you all to do so. It's not that bad. I'm kind of a technophobe. I like Discord. If I can do it, you all can do it.
It's so true. I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, what is it? My kids were trying to explain it to me. They're like, yeah, it'd be great for your channel. I'm like, I don't understand it.
My kids are actually impressed that, hey, Mom, you're doing Discord? Yeah. So
yeah, it's impressive.
So just do it. You'll like it. And then you get minute by minute coverage. Literally. I mean,
literally.
A lot of people that I'm seeing the names, I'm like, well, but they've already seen it. So I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself, but I'm not really.
Right.
We can't repeat too much.
No, we want, and we miss things too. There's times when we miss things. So yeah. Here's the Discord link just in case. All righty. So the big day one. Tell us how it started out.
Well, it started out, of course, I don't know if you want like a blow by blow, or I'll just start with, I'll start just kind of summarize Lizzie Blake's opening statements. They're really not that long. I highly recommend, if you have a chance to actually listen to the audio, please do so. It seems like a lot of people out there are releasing the audio. They've already released the audio from the first days. So a lot of thanks to creators who've actually forked out some money to pay for it. But Lindsay kept it, or Ms. Blake kept it short and sweet. And it was, what did we learn that was different? Because if you're like me and Kathy and a lot of other people, we pretty much know everything that's ever been said, or if it's out there, we already know about it. What I did not know, and I think, Kathy, you noticed this, and everybody verified that this is new information, that friends of Lori's will be testifying that on or around October 19th, Lori was on her phone. And this was after it was before October 19th. I apologize. It was the failed shooting attempt by a certain person that I think we know who was responsible for that, and likely who's behind it. So apparently Lori was heard to say on the phone when the shooting attempt failed, he can't do anything right. So that's new. So for whatever that's worth. And you found that new.
That was regarding Tammy's shooting or Brandon?
Tammy's shooting. I apologize.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't get it. Thank you.
Because it was said because she was in Hawaii already, and apparently she was with Melanie Pulowski, as well as I was going to say Zalema, but it wasn't Zalema. It was Audrey. How do you say her last name again? Is it Baratowski or Anyway, all all the usual subjects that we know will be testifying, and some do have immunity. We do know that. However, Lori was in Rexburg when Brandon was shot. I will just add, perhaps she said the same thing when he missed with that incident too. I don't know. But the incident this new incident though was in reference to Tammy. She
that
did
makes sense because that's the trial for Tammy. So it makes sense. Yeah.
We've been discussing on Discord and all over. So yes, Malachite kept coming up. It kept coming up. And Kathy, I think somebody's going to have to buy you a couple drinks. Probably a lot of people. And
I mean, what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, if you wouldn't mind, you did a great job explaining asphyxiation to me, like what the term is exactly, because Lizzie Blake did say, she confirmed what we already knew. You remember the Daybell kids telling us, well, our dad, we were told our mother asphyxiated. Well, what does that tell us? All it tells us is that she was deprived of oxygen. It doesn't tell us how. And perhaps Kathy, as a nurse,
that's the actual cause of death, but what caused the asphyxiation? Just like when people say, oh, he died of cardiac arrest. Well, what caused the cardiac arrest, right? The actual cause of death is because something happened to cause that cause of death, if that makes sense. So you can't just, there's no such thing as just asphyxiation. Like something caused you to asphyxiate, right? Somebody smothered you.
Somebody like me without a medical background, I would take, it seems like the Daybell kids, even they just took that as, oh, well, she died of asphyxiation without understanding. And
right.
So thank you so much. It's so great that you're a nurse and you can explain this to us.
Right.
Thank you.
And that does make sense that people wouldn't get that, because people say that all the time about like cardiac arrest. He died of cardiac arrest, but they say that all the time about things. I'm like, but something caused the cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Cardiac arrest is not a heart attack. It is not a myocardial infarction. It means your heart stopped. What caused your heart to stop or go into fibrillation or whatever, some kind of a arrhythmia that you can't fix, right? It's not necessarily a blockage like a myocardial infarction. So back to asphyxiation. Asthma can cause it.
But it's still, all she said was asphyxiation. So we're like, okay. So we'll wait.
But they'll probably bring in the evidence.
Yes.
And explain why she died of asphyxiation, because she had some poison, some allergic reaction, and right now I'm looking up, there's many different causes of asphyxiation, including anaphylaxis, which is an extreme allergy where your throat closes up and you can't breathe, so you don't get oxygen. People are allergic to peanuts. People are allergic to different things that cause anaphylactics, bees, whatever. But the cause of death, is asphyxiation, right? Because they were exposed to this chemical or this thing they're allergic to. Asthma, severe asthma attack is going to cause asphyxiation. Smothering, putting your face like babies that smother, that's asphyxiation because they can't lift their head up, and chemicals and drugs. So drowning. So there's a lot of ways you wind up asphyxiated, right? It just means that no air is getting to your body, to your vital organs, no oxygen. So you could strangle somebody, you could put a pillow over their face, you could poison them. There's a lot of ways.
Which, of course, that's why so many of us, the fact that Malachite was brought up numerous times in her opening statement is what's made all of us go, now, wait a minute. Maybe it was Malachite. Maybe, and I just rewatched your video. Everybody, go watch that video.
My Malachite video. Well, I have to say that one of my subscribers, I don't see her here very often anymore, but she's the one that kind of put that bug in my ear about Malachite. She's like, Lori and Chad had Malachite rings, and Malachite is poisonous, and Malachite, Lori's very symbolic. She likes symbolism. Right. So why would she have Malachite rings if it didn't symbolize something? And then we were like, whoa. And then I made the video and looked all into it. And I was like, this really could be. And soon after we put out that there about Malachite, a couple months later, they announced the charges against them for Tammy. So it would be crazy if that was true. But why did they bring it? They brought it up. Yeah.
We'll have to, it was brought up 3 times. There was also something about the hands that sounded, I'll just say cryptic for lack of a better word. It just sounded like it was kind of being emphasized enough that you know to pay attention as the trial goes on to the fact that sadly it was said today that Tylee, her hands were missing, and then also then how JJ's hands were tied. So it seems like there's some kind of some symbology with that too. Oh, one more thing about malachite. In the metaphysical sense of malachite, and I know metaphysical is such a big word, and there's so many different thought schools of metaphysics, but I did see. Okay, guess what archangel malachite is associated with? Just take a wild guess. Which archangel would you think? Raphael.
Oh,
I know, right? I just looked that up this afternoon because I was like, oh, man, maybe there is some truth to the malachite rumor. And really, with this case, of course it would make sense. Of course it would, and to sit there in court with to hear the prosecutors and even the defense team discussing the concept of zombies was, it's pretty surreal. But we all know that that's as strange as it sounded in the beginning. It did become, we can pretty much verify that that's what happened. I'll just go. Is it okay if I just go on next to just recap Jim Archibald's opening statement?
Sure.
His was pretty basic. He introduced himself, and everybody do not hate the man because he's a defense attorney. I mean, he described himself, and he's not defending Lori. He's defending the Constitution. That always makes me feel better when I think that, because I start to get enraged, and I'm like, okay, but we cannot allow anybody to go to prison, or in her case, well, Chad's case will be the death penalty. But we, as Americans, we cannot allow that. And if it happens to them, then it establishes precedents, and then we're all at risk.
Yes.
And
Yep.
Do we have a question? I was
just looking. I'm just looking to see if there's anything so far. I mean, Lori said, "Come on over to Discord." And no, we didn't say she had asthma, did we? Hold on.
No.
Did Tammy have asthma? No, we're just saying that ways that you can be asphyxiated are da 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 da. We don't know anything about if Tammy had asthma. Sounds like she was very healthy.
Just saying she died of asphyxiation doesn't really tell us much.
Mm-mm. But so that'll where everything else will come in, like the lab work and all the stuff that they did in the autopsy and what they, you're going to have a medical person come up there and explain all that.
Oh, and then real quick, I did bring this up. Remember how the coffee presser was ordered along with those malachite rings? And neither Lori or Charles drank coffee, and Kay was wondering if perhaps Chad did. Just something to look for. Keep our eyes and ears open for, because it could be, that could be the case.
Yeah.
So Jim Archibald, he gave I please listen to it. I felt it was good. Basically, he's going to say that this cannot be proven, that Lori did not have knowledge, that she, And by the way, everyone, I was really surprised how much was allowed in today. So as you know, we did hear from Kay, and then we heard from Brandon. And I don't know if you'd like me to go ahead and recap Kay's testimony.
Sure.
Let's see. Hers was very, of course, emotional, and she looked so pretty. I felt she's wearing this coral colored shirt that I felt enhanced her skin tone so much. And I thought she looked amazing, and she was amazing on the stand. And I couldn't believe, I was expecting her to be on the stand for days, but it was just probably about an hour or two. So it's well worth listening to. And she describes, her relationship with JJ, how both she, her son Todd and his girlfriend at the time were not able to, have JJ. So Kay and Larry, and we all know the story, they stepped in, and I just think it just seemed like the sweetest story. And of course it was asked, I think it was by Archibald, who, in a nice, but, defense attorney kind of way. Maybe, you know, well, why did you give up JJ? She didn't give him up. It wasn't like that. And I'm sure that's probably from what we've seen recently, it does look like it will be, you know, Kay and Larry's dedication to JJ is probably going to be called into question. We just have to put our thick skin on and not get too upset. It's, you know, their defense strategies. So we know that's not exactly how it was. However, Kay did bring all the paperwork to court today, and then it had to be authenticated and submitted, and they had to do voir dire all over again, you know, to get, and there were sidebars, and there was this and that, and, you know, and but it was very interesting. And so they brought in JJ's birth certificate, which we all know that his birth name is different than Joshua Jackson Vallow. And then of course the and then of course the oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. And then so his birth certificate, and then the adoption certificate, and then the adoption decree. It's an agreement that clearly states that as a condition of the adoption, that in legal terms, Kay and Larry would have unfettered access to JJ, which they and Kay proved over and over how often they saw JJ. They were, just like we all know, we already knew. She proved, I felt it did very well, proving that she and Larry were very much a part of JJ's life. They were mama and papa. And that little boy knew his grandparents, and he loved them very, very much. He loved his mama and papa. And, you know, JJ and both kids were really, you could feel the love that both Kay and Larry expressed towards the kids. So, well, actually, Larry did not testify today. I did talk to him though, and I gave him a hug, and he's just a wonderful man. I real quick, do you want me to go through the list of people I met today before I go into Brandon's testimony?
Yeah. Tell us. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Because I did speak with Larry. I really enjoyed meeting Chanley Painter. Is her last name Painter? Or Chanley from Court TV. She's, you know, just beautiful. Chanley Painter, I think. Anyway, so she and I went in line together, and we were helpful in that we both needed to use the ladies' room. So I watched her stuff, and she went and she watched mine. Well, you know, because there's a lot of waiting around at the courthouse, and that's fine. It's how justice gets done. And everybody is it's very supportive and you know, good attitude, and definitely help each other out, which I appreciate. If anybody is watching that was at the courthouse today or within the last week, I just wanted to express it's been a pleasure sharing the courtroom with all of you and working side by side with all of you. And and I did meet Annie today after the trial. And then I met that really nice former attorney, a retired attorney in Boise. And the people you meet, so he and I got to talk. Well, he was interesting because after Brandon testified, he said, "Wait, is Melanie here?" His ex-wife, and kind of looked around, and I'm like, "No, she's not, but she's supposed to testify." But that's going to be an interesting testimony. And of course, I mean, it was going to be interesting anyway. We kind of knew that, but anyway, I should maybe summarize Brandon's testimony. Is that okay? Or does anybody have a question?
No, yeah,
okay.
That'd be great.
Okay. So what is exciting about this, there's no witness list. So we're surprised every single day. So it's just, so the suspense is, it kills you. So you're sitting there, it's all suspenseful. So I did know about 5 minutes before that Kay was going to testify, because I overheard Larry say something. And then you could have just knocked me over with a feather when they said, and our next witness is Brandon Boudreaux.
Well, I have a theory about why they're doing that. I think Brandon would like to be in the court the whole time. Kelly wants to be with Larry. They probably decided that because of what was going on anyway. And then maybe they'll start getting to like the science people, the cops, that kind. Well, Hermosillo's tomorrow, right? So that makes sense.
Yeah, that is this.
Yeah.
Today we got lucky in that we do have advance notice of at least one witness for tomorrow. Just Detective Hermosillo. But it's like, you know, you're sitting there just waiting and the anticipation's just, you know, But of course, it keeps things interesting.
Right.
But no, we do not have a complete
Like it's like
list.
TV. Like who's
Witness.
next?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's everybody's sitting there like, and so. But this gentleman, he just, I think he's familiar with the case, but not familiar like we are. So it was just kind of fun to hear, because he, I mean, he sounded as bitchy as we can be sometimes about.
Really?
Well, anyway. But he did say that I hope he continues attending. He said he'd answer any legal questions that we may have. Everybody's that I tell them about Left Undone and and how this case started as a missing children's case, and you were probably the first, maybe behind Denise Rainey, but if you were, it's not by much. But anyway, everybody loves hearing that, and they love hearing about what you do here. So anyway. So Brandon, when he came into some things that we did not know about Brandon before, or at least I don't think I didn't. You may have, Kathy, and other people may have. Okay, so he actually got married on June 10th, and then he wasn't asked to drive up to Rexburg. It was something that he said he felt he needed to do, so he drove up there, and then
the bodies were found on the 9th,
on the 11th,
on the
11th, or actually he couldn't even remember if he'd driven up on the 11th or the 12th.
But the bodies were found on the 9th, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say the 9th because you're right. That is correct. But he did get married on the 10th, so it was either the 11th or 12th that he drove up from either Arizona or Utah up to Rexburg. So this is where all the stuff comes in, and they had a couple of sidebars over it. So, it's the whole prior bad acts kind of thing. It's relevance. It's, motions in limine, how limited. But I did type in the Discord what the judge's reasoning was on this, but it was allowed in. So Brandon described when he was shot at, and he'd only lived in that home for a few days. And then prior to the marital issues, or when Melanie Pulowski told Brandon that she'd want a divorce, the months leading up to that were interesting, of course. And Brandon did confirm what we all kind of suspected, that Melanie really did look to Lori as a mother, being that her mother, Stacy Cope, had died when Melanie was young. And of course, that's reasonable. And we all kind of thought that. But so Brandon, increasingly, Melanie was just getting, she was going to the temple every single day. And of course, Brandon's explaining to jurors who may or may not know about the LDS faith, so he's like, and a daily trip to the temple is excessive. It just, even if you're LDS, daily temple trips are considered excessive. And actually, when they were first married, it was Brandon who was really excited about, attending church and the temple. And Melanie wasn't so much when they were first married, but then it just kind of, but then of course, once she started, hanging with her Aunt Lori and reading Julie Rowe books, the temple really became a fixation and something that Melanie would attend, even when they were on their vacations to Disneyland or other places. She, and Brandon described that as excessive. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree that making a temple to visit the temple when you're with your family on a Disneyland vacation, that would be, excessive. So that's another, I don't remember hearing it in those exact words. And then Brandon described that he said he was at a club with his friends and they were dancing, and Brandon even posted it publicly. He's not ashamed of it. And the name of the club, I think, was the Pink Pony, somewhere in Alabama. Is anybody familiar with that club? So Brandon's he's at a gay club. So Melanie, who took this, first of all, she'd been saying all along that she had been discovering things about Brandon, and that
why was he at a gay club?
Oh, well,
was he on a business trip or something?
Yes, he was on a business trip, and it wasn't like he was hiding it. And of course, we know that Garrett Smith has actually been. Remember when he got sued for $12 million successfully for? So it started with Melanie
Oh, that's right.
the Lord has revealed some things to me about you, Brandon. And Brandon described it as totally illogical. And he sat down with her. He said, why? Okay, tell me, on what basis do you say I'm gay? Or, and Brandon's words were actually homosexual. On what basis, Melanie? And she didn't really have one. But then when he was with his business partner at the Pink Pony, suddenly, that was confirmation. That was all the confirmation she needed, I guess. And she divorced. Oh, and then also, did you know that his grandfather passed away like in June 23rd of 2019? And she wouldn't go with him to the funeral?
Well, I heard that. Oh, I heard that from you today.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That was.
I'm like, I heard that. Oh, yeah, that was today.
Yeah. So that was something new we learned, and it's better if you can listen to it on the audio. But while you're here, we'll just summarize it for you really quick. And I will
think
say
they're fun too, Jenny. I think they're fun too, and I'm not gay, but I was just wondering why sometimes guys are a little bit different about that, like homophobic a little bit.
It seemed like she was looking for an excuse. It didn't seem like the Pink Pony trip was a big deal until she was able,
try to find something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was really, and
or Lori figured it out and was like, look, Melanie, I told you.
But Brandon described his kids' relations, his children, because remember, so Lori is biologically Melanie's aunt. So, so Charles was her uncle. So even Brandon described Charles and Lori as kind of an aunt-in-law and a step uncle-in-law. But they were family. They do, they'd get together over holidays. Brandon described his relationship with Charles as very positive. Both he and Charles were passionate about sales. Obviously, we know they did very well financially, and they both were very committed and very much loved their families, which of course, we know that to be true for sure. Their son, Brandon's eldest son, was really looked up to by JJ, and I thought that was really sweet. And that's where you can just feel like, and Brandon broke down a couple times when he testified. Just the mention of JJ's word, he choked up and he cried. And by the way, I looked over and guess who wasn't crying? Lori, of course. And I know it could be said that, well, yeah, because she's heard this so many times, but of course it's pattern upon pattern. And look, everyone, we know she's crazy. She really does think she's going to be vindicated. And and from what I've observed in court, it really does kind of tell you a lot about the situation. She's a lot better than she was, by the way, but it's still, which please do not take this as in any way of putting down anybody who is struggling with mental illness. It's very tough, and it's a shame that this couldn't have been dealt with sooner with Lori, and that's the real truth of it, Oh, and by the way, so I'm going to back a little bit to, Mr. Archibald, in describing his client, she's very attractive. People are attracted to her. She's vivacious. She's fun. And so therefore, she can't help it that people just naturally follow her. So I guess that was his explanation. But anyway, back to Brandon, who was choked up. I did not know that Brandon actually followed Tylee on Instagram. And there's a photo, and we're all familiar. I saw the exact photo that we're all familiar with. Yes, Brandon is lucky to be alive. He is. And he described that day very well. It's well worth listening to if you get a chance. So he and Tylee followed each other on Instagram. So that's how he was able to pull up her photo to show law enforcement. And it was the kind of thing that to Brandon that right up first, he had his suspicions, but he had to do some digging. So he got online and Googled Chad Daybell and saw that Chad Daybell's wife had passed away and the timing was weird. And then of course we're familiar with the letters that Kay did write to law enforcement over. If you comb through the FOIA docs like so many of us have, you'll recognize the letters that she wrote about
Oh
how
yeah.
odd that was. And but yes, I can go. I can. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I think I just gave the basis of it, and if anybody thinks of something new or please feel free to share. I think that's probably about all I have to share today.
That's what she says. Aileen said, I heard on another channel it was a mistake to put Brandon B on the stand today. I disagree, laying the groundwork, in my opinion. I don't think it's a mistake. Personally, I thought it was good. They're sucking these people right into all the crazy. Like, whoa. They're shooting at people right off the bat, people that are alive right here on the stand. Wait a minute,
well, and considering the prosecution's star witnesses are not as rational as Kay and Brandon. Kay and Brandon are they're just normal,
Yeah, then we're gonna get the zombie followers and stuff.
Right. I mean, the zombie followers have to be their star witnesses.
Right.
I mean, on the one hand, it's good that we have somebody that will, but on the other hand, what kind of credibility will these people have anyway? And that's been something we've all been wondering.
Right. No, I think it's good. I think we needed to see right off the bat how this affected two people that are huge in this case.
Yeah,
I don't like think it's a mistake.
Eileen, is it Aileen or Eileen? I like how you said laying the groundwork. That's exactly that's how I feel about it.
I agree totally. Ruby says, "Oh, I agree. There's many people that could have stopped these murders." Oh yeah, for sure. Why didn't
we're about to hear from the top 3 that could have stopped that.
I've noticed that this case also draws in a lot of angry people, or they become angry because of the actions of the court in conjunction with the crimes. Oh, you mean like the court not letting cameras in and all that stuff? I mean, because a lot of people are angry about that. The cult needs to be charged too.
Right.
They're all putting their head in the sand right now, like, oop.
But it is interesting that we've been discussing, though, isn't it? Like I still haven't watched the Netflix on David Koresh, and Carrie said it was really good. I need to watch it. I just haven't had a chance. But isn't it interesting, though, how it's all the same playbook all the time?
It really is. It's like they went to college and this is what they majored in. They got a PhD in it.
Yeah. Complete with the bite model by Dr. Hassan or Hassan. I mean, it's just rinse and repeat. Hello, cult leaders. You should at least get original the next time you start a cult.
Right? I had a question in my head. I'll have to think about it. What was it? Melanie Gibb. Yeah. So I just can't imagine what these jurors that's going through their head right now as soon as they heard all this. And it's only going to get crazier. So, but I think somebody had mentioned earlier, and I put it up on the screen, that they think this is going to be a slam dunk 2-hour deliberation like Murdoch. And I agree. I don't think there's going to be much deliberation here. I think they're going to be like, okay, finally we can talk. Okay, good. You agree? I agree. Let's go. Unless there's some very different person in there with a very different thought process. I think that it'll be fast conviction.
Well,
and if it isn't, I'll fall over.
Yeah, I'm still kind of reluctant because I'm still, I don't know.
I just trust the system after being a juror at one point. I thought it went really well. And I was really, when we went in there, we weren't allowed to talk to each other, weren't allowed to talk, weren't allowed to look up anything. And the minute we all went in there and finally they were like, okay, you can start. We were like, thank you, finally, and we all were like on the same page almost immediately. So it's
already the jury has made a point this morning. Remember all these people were chosen because they had not had no knowledge of this of what happened really. Because almost every single one of them said that they don't trust the media. They don't like the media, and so they don't watch the news. Well, this morning, all of the members of the press that were in attendance were scolded for being loud when they were typing. So that's where that
you can hear all the
And I really like all the media peeps there. I think they're really nice, and I think they do a very important job. They are the voice of the public, and every single one, to me, is very ethical. However, and I know that they purposely chose to sit close to the jury because, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And well, the jurors didn't really like it. So maybe I will see my favorite media peeps sitting on the other side of the room
That
tomorrow.
was probably
I
very
don't know.
distracting. Yeah, because they're trying to pay
Yes.
attention and they're just getting distracted. I hate
Yeah,
stuff
Judge
like that
Boyce,
too when there's
after a break, he came back and said, "Okay, I have a complaint." So unfortunately, this is what I'm really glad that I'm just using my little cell phone and it's very quiet and I don't take up a lot of room.
I don't think Larry's going to testify. I think that's what came out of all this. I think they decided he wasn't going to testify because he was in there. So it was a non-issue at that point.
Actually, and Kathy, I know you and I talked about this. I couldn't think of anything that Kay couldn't already testify to.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I mean,
unless there was something really weird that we never heard or thought about.
Right. Right. Well, and that's what I think we all keep expecting is today wasn't like any real bombshell type, something that makes us think any different than we're already thinking. But of course, there could be.
Somebody said there was supposed to be a phone call we were going to hear today. That was going to be something. What happened with that? Where's that?
Well, it wasn't played.
Okay.
It was just Rob Wood's opening statement that said at some point, the way I understood it, wasn't necessarily today, but at some point during the trial, we will hear a heartbreaking telephone call. Oh, and by the way, did y'all know that I didn't know this? It was stated in opening arguments, and I knew this was going to happen. I'd have to go back and tell y'all again. So anyway, back to the opening arguments. Did you know that Lori, when she was in Hawaii, was trying to cast the demons out of Tammy with Audrey?
Oh,
and
that's
Melanie
right.
P. So
I remember you said that this morning. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and there were a couple different times that she tried to cast out Viola.
There's a text message at some point that I put on a video between Chad and Lori where she was going to be like, she got really flippant with him, like, you're not doing it. She's not dying fast enough. And he was saying, like, these things take time, blah, blah, blah. And I just pictured that whole thing like she's like, she better be dead before I get back kind of thing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I think Lori's putting a lot of pressure on Chad to get it done.
How about the one on his birthday of August 11th? That was the one where she decides that, no, you just go back to your family. Yeah. I don't want to interfere. And so there's manipulation right there from Mrs. Daybell, but then Ms. Vallow.
What are they calling her? Are they calling her Vallow or Daybell?
Vallow seems to come up more often. It seems to be kind of an interchangeable sort of a thing. Mostly Vallow, probably, and I'm guessing because that is legally her name, and that's that she was charged under that name. I do think I do hear Vallow Daybell a lot as well too. In fact, I probably hear Vallow Daybell more than anything.
Singing in the sunshine. What'd you say? I just want to say that if you haven't seen Left Undone's podcast, you're missing out. Wow, just started listening yesterday. It's incredible. The best deep dive I've ever heard. So it's called Afterglow, Unveiling the Idaho Cult. And it is on every podcast. I can also give you the link so you can listen to it online. I was uploading pictures to you, or some of it to YouTube, but it's just too much. And the audio is just different with the way I use the magic mastering on the podcast platform. Once I upload it. So if you would like the Afterglow podcast, you can listen to it on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, all of them. iHeartRadio, Amazon. It's there. It's everywhere. Thank you very much for mentioning that.
Really good job tying up all the stuff because remember, I'm so sorry, Kathy. Kathy started reporting this in real time, and it was crazy for all of us. I'm sure there's a lot of us that will. Yeah. I tuned in from the very beginning with Kathy, and it was crazy from the beginning.
Yeah, we were all like, wait, what now? Whoa, my God. Now what? Now there's a Jeep, and now there's, things were coming out like this.
Just a missing children's case. No, that wasn't, it was that. It was a lot more. But Kathy's done a great job of tying everything up into a concise, if you sit down and listen to it, you will know what we know so far.
I tried to go back and make things that we didn't know, put them in the right place in chronological order. Like the stuff we learned later,
Yes.
but put it back where it actually happened or what it was about to the people that knew. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Which that probably, to me, my head even hurts, just hurts, Kathy, of thinking how you had to sit down and piece it all together.
We got
And
some great
congratulations.
resources. We do. I mean, the people that have followed this case, like Nate and Justin and Annie. I mean, there's some amazing resources.
Oh,
And then
yes.
all my disorganized stuff that I have everywhere, you know, that I remember in my videos. I go back and I'm like, oh yeah. So it's definitely a group effort.
Oh, everyone has a hard time keeping this case straight. I've heard that from every reporter, every person I've ran into, talked with. So it makes me not feel so bad when if I forget something or you know, don't, or something just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to anyone.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's crazy. And so, yeah. So, I mean, and like Afterglow takes a lot, but it's bringing the whole story together. I'm surprised it doesn't get more attention. Like it's not being suggested on Apple or anything, but it's all word of mouth, whoever finds it.
Yeah, I hope they did. Well, for me, I know when, like, for a while I was working a job where I had to drive really far. So I would that made the drive like so much better. It was a chance, something to do while I was driving. But for now, I just drive to the courthouse, which isn't very far. So, but I was listening to Afterglow the other day when I was cleaning my house. So
I always listen to true crime stuff when I'm doing stuff like
yeah,
that. Like
right.
podcasts.
So thanks for that, Kathy. And thanks for bringing it all together in a cohesive kind of fashion. You've done a great job containing all this stuff in one.
Sensible crime. Do you see what she said?
And there's other people like Gigi's. I have not watched. Gigi's got like just 15 hours that she just did. I don't have the time to sit down and watch it right now, but I'll bet it's great.
You get a crash course, but it's a long course.
Because it's
a long crash course. Yeah.
And as always, Gigi is just such a very kind person, and yeah, and it's fun that
thank you, Sensible Crime. I'm glad you decided I wasn't mentally ill.
or she said that is got some great information. Or she's mentally ill.
And she said that I found out fortunately the first option was true. You're hilarious. You are so funny. Thank you. Thank you.
Because Kathy, you were taking a beating there for a little bit because you're the first one to report those zombie emails.
I know. I'll still when the Malachi thing comes out, I'll never get credit. I guarantee you. If that is what happens, there's so many people that don't give me credit for stuff. It's really weird. I don't know what they have. The other I don't know. And I'm not here to become a famous YouTube creator anyway, so I don't really care. But
right, apparently there's a lot of backstabbers in the community. I have not seen that. Doesn't mean I won't. But I just show up, I take my notes, and I go home. But but you just kind of, over time you kind of really see. But at the end of the day, too, is the people who have the stamina to sit through the trial like that, they're going to be the people that care and are doing it for the right reasons, in my opinion. This has been a pleasure working with all these people and Gigi's.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good. I'm not saying that majority of everybody that's found this case are great for real, but there's just those other ones that jump in and cause drama.
Like the one who. Hi, defense attorneys. I see you're on your lunch hour today. You want an interview? They're like, no.
Oh, that was our friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back from
But I saw that Nate posted that, and him and Justin were asking them some questions, and they were answering. Right. And then he said, "Oh my gosh, not Thomas, the other one, Archibald said." He said something about, "Are we going for lunch to Winco?" Blah blah blah. And he goes, "Well, we're not going to Winco tomorrow, so we don't get followed by you guys or whatever." So I thought,
or something like that. Oh well, that must have been, maybe was that today?
Yeah, Nate put it up on his Twitter, the little clip of it.
Okay. Well, because Nate did ask him a question. He asked all three, the two defense attorneys and the investigator, and they were very gracious and gave him an interview the other morning. But I'm guessing today, they were trying to go to lunch at Winco, and they were. I only saw the one, but I guess it was a whole bunch of them that were actually following.
Yeah, I saw it was a crowd of them. Nate has it on the film, and there were a bunch of asking questions. Cheat No More, I actually did listen in today live on the West case, and I'll recap that a little bit too when we're done talking about this for sure. But I'm trying to think if there's any more questions about this case that happened today that we have any questions about it. Anybody? FYI, East Idaho News is uploading the audio today. Yeah, and Eric, the docket has it up already, I guess. There's a couple people have it up already.
Scott Reich has his up as well.
And they're all paying for it. So I'm not stealing it from anybody. I didn't pay for it. I can't afford to pay for it. I got to pay my other bills.
but you're referring people over to the channels that are.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting. I'm going to listen. I was listening to Letitia trial today off and on too. I'm not finished with today. That case just kills me. Why are you no longer a member, Jess? Because I canceled everybody's memberships. And no, you don't start over. You'll start restart. But I revamped things a little bit, and so you can join, please. You're one of my aren't you one admin in there in Discord? Yes, you are. So just rejoin. You'll be right back where you left off. We restarted them, but you still come back to where you were. Mama D, thank you so much for the super chat. Hands down, my favorite channel since we heard that the kids were missing. The best coverage and definitely the best group of members. We do have a really good community, and you're part of it, and you make it a good community too, Mama D. We really appreciate you and everybody that's here. It's a really good, nice community. The trolls have hopefully gone for good, and we can keep.
Yeah, thanks for having me, because I it's the only way I could do it, because I didn't want to deal with doing something on my own and having to fend for myself. I'm so happy,
It's harder when you're new too. The trolls came out of everywhere when I was new, and I fed into it because I didn't know what I was doing anyway. Like, it was confusing in the beginning, and I didn't have regulars yet, right? So you don't know who is your good people when you first start out. Like, who's in your chat that's somebody that actually super supportive, or is somebody that's going to turn on you, which happens a lot. Especially in the beginning. Yay, Jess is back. Yay, welcome back. Thanks for joining, Jess. Jess is actually, do you still have your, you're in Discord. I know you're still a mod in Discord. So, what else? So it started at what time this morning? 8:30? And the opening statements were right soon after 8:30? Did I lose you?
Oh, I'm sorry. The opening statement. Were you talking about the West case?
What time? No. I haven't started talking about that yet. I'm still talking about Daybell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The opening statements this morning. They started right about 8:30?
Probably about 9:20, actually, I would say. We have to be there at 8:30, but that means 8:30, like as in they open the door so that then we have to line up and check in and get into the courtroom. So in all reality, probably no, it didn't even start till like 9:15, 9:20.
Okay.
And I was there at 7:45 because I still want to get there, because then I have to arrive, and then at 8:00 I have to sign up for the next day. Oh, which I do have a ticket for tomorrow as well too.
In the courtroom again?
Yeah. So I'll keep it. Do you want me to sit closer to Lori or the jury, or I'll try to do both. But if it's one or the other.
Carrie. Appreciate it. Thank you for his super chat, Carrie. What do you guys want? You want her to sit closer to the jury or to Lori? What do you want to see? Put it in the chat. Oh, okay, Jess. This is Idaho Mom Reports. She is one of our what were your name here before? Is Cavalier?
I've been Cards and Cavaliers for a long time.
So you probably see her as that.
And then I was Cavalier Mom.
Yeah.
But that didn't sound, although, that I thought about though, for somebody who's covering Lori Daybell, Cavalier Mom that would have been a bad idea for me to have kept that name.
Because she's
But
kind of
I'm
the
glad I
caliber.
changed it to Idaho
Yeah.
Mom Reports.
But yeah, so that's who, and she lives in near Boise. You live in Boise or around Boise in the Boise area,
In the Boise area.
and she's going to the trial every day, Jess. So yeah, she's one of our regulars that just happens to jump in and be
I
able to
was
go to the
always
trial.
pretty like vocal, like in the video, in the chat, but not really on Discord because I was scared of Discord, and I'm not. I'm no longer scared of Discord. But yeah, I mean, I was active, but I think I was a little on the quiet side.
Okay, let's see that. Okay, so we got different votes here. We got, I don't know how to do a poll. I need to learn.
Lucifer.
We got Lori. We got Ruby, you're voting twice. Aileen says Lori. Lori, please wind chimes. Melanie says jury. Christian says Lori. Melanie says jury again. Want to know her reactions. Marilyn says Lorcifer. Carrie says Lori. Hori. Cheat No More says the jury. Okay, you're gonna have to move for part of the time.
Okay,
about 3/4 on Lori and 1/4 of the day on or 1/3
on the jury. And
1/4 of the day on the jury and 3/4 on the Lori. I guess
it is becoming increasingly harder though to sit in the courtroom today. I always take my, like, I just take my purse, and I always take it with me when I come and go for the most part. And so anyway, so everybody was told that they have to take everything with them every time they leave the courtroom, and that includes laptops. So imagine all of our media personnel with their laptops and all they now have to take it with them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we just started seeing more and more just in the overflow room, just because it's just getting increasingly harder to work out of the actual courtroom for people.
Yeah, I actually think I would say I'd want to see the jury. I want to see what their reactions are a little bit, because we know.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
Split it up,
tomorrow.
maybe. I don't know. Maybe one day and then another day.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I just didn't want to disappoint. And actually, I can see both where I was seated at today. I did have a closer view of Lori today, though. Oh, this is what she was doing. Remember, I mentioned like right during the opening statements. Okay, so she was sitting in a swivel chair, and I was trying to describe it. So it was like this.
I'm in a swivel chair.
So you can see how I'm walking back like this. Okay, I understand she's nervous, but it's still kind of weird, And
I've been doing that the whole time we've been on here.
Well, yeah, but you're not on trial for murder going. It was a smirk too. Like,
oh yeah, I'd say just let her smirk, because the jury is going to look at that and they're not going to like it. Your kids are dead.
No, she didn't smirk the whole time, but I busted her smirking right when Kay was testifying at one point, and she wasn't always smirking. So a lot of times she was just expressionless.
Marilyn wants to know if jury's taking notes. Are they taking notes? Do they have notepads?
I did hear that some were. I heard that some were not. And Jim Archibald actually made it a point to let the jurors know that they didn't have to take notes on a certain part of his opening statements, because it was already being written down for them, so they would have a copy of what was said. So
were her legs shackled?
I could not. I did not see that. She was already seated when she's always already seated when we walk into the courtroom. So it was kind of, and then when we leave, I don't even. I'll have to see, how does she get bathroom breaks. I just hadn't seen her stand up, so I can't. I've heard that she does not have shackles on.
Okay.
But I have not seen that with my own eyes. But that's what I've heard.
There's a question. Did the defense have a lot of objections to witnesses' statements?
Yes, but not as many as you would think. It was kind of like a one big objection sort of a thing. Like, it wasn't that constant objection, like we've seen. It was more the kind of objection, like when Brandon started talking about the day he was shot at. That's when Tom. Am I forgetting his name? Is it Thomas or Thomason?
Thomas? I think Thomas.
Okay, so then Thomas was like, objection, this is not relevant. which I kind of thought would be sustained, but apparently it's already been vetted out. There's some kind of motion in limine, so it got in, and I can't remember the exact reasoning. I guess probative versus prejudicial. I don't know what that means, but just trying to recall what the lawyers in the room were saying.
Spin around and around. Smirky jerky. You guys are hilarious.
That sounds like a nice share.
Smirky jerky, Lori. So, okay, cool. Now we got to decide how we're going to do this. This is going to be a long, month. Archibald said today, somebody asked him when they were following them, they said, how long do you think this trial is going to last? He said, at least a month. At least a month. That's shorter than I was thinking by him saying at least a month.
And so, the way today went so quick, I mean, we have two major witnesses that are already done. And yes, it was, there are times when it does get tedious, the same question repeated different ways, whatever. But but it went fast.
I want to come up there. I don't want to miss it. I hope it.
I don't want you to miss it either. You may have to come up sooner than. Can't you go to Greece some other time?
I know. Well, that's the problem. I'm not going to Greece till September, but I'm using my floating holiday and 98 hours of PTO, which I don't know why I made the trip so long, because I don't want to be here. I'd rather be there. I don't know, but I
know that everybody would be very, the people that are in there right now are so open, and they really are there because they care. They'd love to see you. They just want to, I'd love to see you. Anybody that's ever cared about this case, which is a lot of people, you'll feel very welcomed at the courthouse. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to go. We'll see. Lori and I are planning on the other good Lori.
It really is not very humbling. And and they did show some photos today. I guess I was looking down taking notes when Tylee's remains were displayed, so I didn't see them.
They did display them?
Yeah, I honestly, what I saw, the one I did see of JJ, honestly, to me, it wasn't that graphic. In fact, it might be something that we've seen before. But Tammy's, it was after she was exhumed.
So it's going to be.
She was absolutely beautiful. And I'm not just saying that. She absolutely beautiful. It was one of those,
They are playing it at in Rexburg. They have a overflow room there too, where people that live in Rexburg in Fremont County.
I think at the Madison County Courthouse.
Madison County. Okay. Madison County.
But definitely head over there if you're in the area. It's well worth it. You'll be so glad you did.
Yeah, I would be there. Too bad they can't stream it down here in Southern California.
Right. Yeah. We were complimented today on our courtroom conduct by the judge.
Oh, good. So after the clicking went away?
Yeah. Well, hey, that wasn't me. I wasn't seated over there, so.
So, okay, cool. So, okay, back to what I was going to say. As far as doing these live streams, it's going to be a long couple of weeks. We can't do them every day, but I want to do them as much as possible. So what does everybody want? A quick check-in, if that's all we can do? Or should we save it for Saturday live stream, or should we do it twice a week? What do you guys think as far as a live stream? Because I get off work at 5, so I was a little bit frazzled, but I said 7 is good too for me, my time. But I don't care. Anytime from 5:30 on, before I get too tired, I can do it. But I just wonder what everybody wants to do. Oh, the Pink Pony Pub is not a gay club. Thank you, Judith.
Oh. Yeah, because come to think of it, we're just assuming. Because
I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't even get that until you said it.
I would have guessed, given the title. But thank you, Judith, for letting us know.
Pink Pony sounds like a kids, a place where little kids go play.
And Kathy and I are both being former flight attendants. Kathy, I don't know if I can speak for you, but speaking for myself, I can promise you, I've been to more gay clubs than probably anybody. More, I
Yeah,
had some
well,
really great times.
depending on your crew, but yeah, they're like, oh, come on.
And it doesn't mean any, I mean, you got straight people, you've got not
Yeah,
straight people, and we're all just there having a good time.
twice
And
a
quick,
week. Okay.
frankly, sometimes we just go there because that's who is serving food at a late hour.
Twice a week. So you mean twice a week in addition to my Saturday live or including my Saturday live? I'm trying to get like this one says Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or Saturday, maybe. Well, I
Well,
do Saturday. Saturday's kind of my regular live anyway.
here's what I'm thinking. Um, and Kathy, this is really up to you, but it seems like maybe kind of a play it by ear, because I mean, every day there could be something really exciting happening tomorrow, and we'll want to talk
We
about
want to
it.
talk about it.
And then
All right.
it'll be boring for a few days. Or I mean,
So
I'm open, I am flexible. I know that this is tiring, and I love to talk about it though. But I know you're still working your job, and you know.
okay, so Judith used to hang out at the Pink Pony Club after work, and it's not a gay club. Thank you for clarifying that.
So
So
she couldn't even use that. That wasn't even um and we know it's not true anyway, but her fake well, Brandon, the Lord has shared something about you with me, because she's so special. And oh, and that was something too that Brandon mentioned, is that he had heard about these firesides or special events they were having, and Brandon kind of asked her about, early when she started getting interested, and she let Brandon know straight up that not that she did not he was not welcome to these events.
Oh,
she didn't want him there.
Yeah, she was trying to get rid of him for a while too.
It was
like
all of
Lori
a sudden. Yeah, and so it was, and we all know who the real culprit is there. Her Aunt Lori. Then Aunt Lori being influenced by her new uncle Chad. Oh, Chad's still her uncle. Oh.
Ew. Ew. Okay, so you guys are saying kind of play it by ear. So I guess depends if like there's not a whole lot of really great stuff, we'll keep it for a different day and then put it together.
Yeah.
Or if there's something really mind-boggling that happens,
Like
we'll
tomorrow,
do a
y'all
live.
may want to talk because of Detective Hermosillo's testimony tomorrow. However, I can come back anytime. I'm not doing anything, and if you want me on, just let me know. I suppose I don't really want to stream on my channel, so I'll just wait so I can go on Kathy's if that's okay. But I also don't want you to be tired out.
That's fine. No, I'm good. Like I said, I just can't be very long because I have my other side.
And we've already gone an hour, so I should probably let you go. And
well, I'm going to talk about the West case a little bit,
okay.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, and well, you're going to go back tomorrow, and
yes, and I'll keep.
And if you guys want, like minute by minute, literally minute by minute, she's doing such a good job in Discord. We have a thread for each day, so you can even go back and read what she's put up the other days. They're in there, and they're all available. And tomorrow we will do Tuesdays, day 2
yes,
of the
honestly,
trial.
if Discord is great, you'll get to see it minute by minute. I'd like to come on, but that's not always possible. It's just not feasible. It's just not to do it every single day.
Every day.
But Kathy, why don't I let you go? I'm just gonna leave the studio, but I'll still be here because I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay, I'm just gonna go. It's not that much, so I'm just gonna talk about the West, and then we'll wrap up, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Kathy. Have a good one.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so I did listen in. Of course, there were times I couldn't listen. I can only listen when I'm actually doing like typing and not calling patients. But I did listen in today on the West trial. There's a lot of multitasking going on today. They put the realtor on the stand. Didn't have much to say. Saw some kids. Don't know how many. Blah, blah, blah. Then the bug guy, they had a bug guy that came to the house after they moved into the California City house. He saw lots of kids, car seats, little kids. Doesn't know how many, but there are a lot of them. And the car seats and little kids, he said. Then they had the loan officer who got their loan approved, and there was issues because a lot of his Trezel's money comes in cash and stuff from selling beets. He sells beets, but also the major income that they have that got them qualified for house is the adoption income, the 4 kids adoption income. The realtor didn't say much. I didn't hear the whole thing, but there really wasn't much. And then some guy that lives, I think, 108th Street guy or whatever, he has cameras. This was really weird. So he saw the white van in the camera when Trezel was looking. Sorry, something in my mouth. And then there was also a Saturn vehicle with a woman driving in the Saturn vehicle within a few minutes right then. And she was driving through the desert, looked like she was looking for something, which I thought was really weird. Judith, we know we don't on this channel. We do not do any kind of LDS bashing. We know these people are just what I call wackadoodles. So I don't know. I don't remember seeing you here very much. But you're in a safe place here. Seriously, nobody is bashing anybody. We got a lot of LDS people in our Discord members, and we're not doing that. So don't worry. We don't blame LDS. That's never been a thing on my channel. There's all kinds of religions that have all kinds of wacky people. And, I've had to ask some questions about LDS and the beliefs because I want to know. But other than that, we're not bashing. And we're not calling it a cult. So just FYI. So back to the West case. So there's guard cameras, and there was a woman that was driving around in a in a vehicle, in a Saturn. I think it was black. But anyway, around the same time. And it was caught on these cameras. And these officers that saw this and stuff didn't make any kind of report about this. So it's very weird. A cop that was interviewed asked Trezel about the Bio family. And he said, what are the odds that the Bio family to Trezel had anything to do with this? And Trezel told him 50%. But it was not investigated at all. They said, well, did you look into the Bio family? Did you go any further with that? And they said, no. And then Officer Kalakaios, sounds great, Kalakaios, was talking about some other neighbor. So to be honest, you guys, a whole lot of people went on the stand with a whole lot of no proof. Nothing solid. I saw a bunch of kids. I don't know how many. I don't know. I saw kids. I didn't see kids. We didn't see anything on the camera. Did you see kids walking down the street? No. Did you see cars? Yes. Did you see this van? Yes. You saw another car? Yes. They haven't got me right now. If I was a juror, I still have complete reasonable doubt. They need to bring something in. I don't know what they're waiting for, but they need to bring something in my opinion, because I'm not. Somebody already bashing me on Twitter today just because I said I'd like to see some real evidence. And this West case is just very weird because a lot of people have just completely made up their mind, but Officer Hansen was terrible. He did a terrible investigation. He was rude. He went right into their face and started accusing them immediately, which is not okay. Put his hand on Jacqueline's leg under the table. So I'm super curious to see where this is going to go. I would like to see some actual evidence, not just people that maybe sort of didn't kind of, I don't know, saw kids, didn't, a bunch of kids. I don't know. I mean, like last week, neighbors that were saying they never saw any kids or any dogs. We know that's not true. We know there were kids and dogs there. We can hear dogs. So I don't know, man. No matter what, the Bio family needs to be investigated. Law enforcement cannot just ignore. And I think and I'm going to tell you right now, I think that department did a terrible job in this investigation. I mean, they just did a terrible job so far. I'm not seeing anything solid. Did you document this? No. Why not? And as a nurse, it's like freaking documentation is everything. So for those cops not to have documented some important points, like Trezell saying this, or it's just very bizarre to me. Not following up on anything that he said or they said, like just be like, we don't believe you anyway. We're not going to investigate. And I've heard this before, that sometimes a police officer or investigation, they get tunnel vision, and what they think happened is what they're going to go down that road no matter what, and they're not going to look at other possibilities. I'm trying really hard to look at other possibilities, not that I'm the cop, but I don't see the point of not, Thank you, Leighton. Judith, Leighton's LDS, and he has been here he's our adopted son at Left Undone. And he's been here since the beginning. Felt nothing but love here. Yeah, we're a very kind group of people. We're not being judgmental or even questioning, mainstream LDS faith at all. Not questioning it. All right, Lori Day, thank you. So I'll listen again tomorrow. I'm hoping we hear something on the West case, because I think this is awful tragic so far that there's no real evidence that's come forward yet. And these people have been in jail and they're away from their children. And if they're innocent and the cops didn't do the right job, I think that's pretty crappy, So I can only hope that something big happens. Some big piece of evidence shows up. But so far, I really feel like the prosecution isn't even trying very hard. It's just a sense. I said that to PLM the other day. I said, I feel like the prosecution isn't even very invested in this, like getting this done. So, but you can't record it. And there is a streamer out there that has been streaming it. So it's already been brought up with the court. So we may lose the privilege of listening. I don't know if they keep doing that. So that's, yes. So you're very welcome here, and don't worry about that. Except for the fact that we didn't know that the pink pony, but thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate it. Not that it really matters, but it does sort of feed into thinking if that's Melanie kind of got a little bit of her point. But of course, like I said, she said, I was a flight attendant too. We used to go to gay bars. Like, you fly with the crew, gay guys. I mean, half of my coworkers, and they were fun. They were the funnest people in the world to work with. So I'll go anywhere, except for like somewhere really trashy. Let's see. Anything else, you guys, before we wrap up? We will so I guess the vote is to play it by ear. That audio is out there if you want to listen to today. I know the docket has it. Scott Reich seems to have it. Idaho, East Idaho News seems to have put it up, so you can listen to it, and then we'll just keep following all the cases that I've been following for 3 years, 2 years now, 2-3 years, are all at trial at the exact same time. When this is all over, we're gonna have to find some more cases. Although the Vallow Daybell case is gonna be going on for a while. We still have Charles's, we still have Chad, so we definitely have a lot to follow still on that case. All right, so that is it. Thank you guys for the super chats and the likes. Thumbs up, please, on your way out. I'm so glad, Aileen. Thank you for being here as well. Thank you. Of course. All right, guys. So have a good night, and we'll keep in touch. If you're in Discord, you'll get that minute by minute. And my dog is like, you're saying goodbye, I can tell. Yes, Percy, I'm saying goodbye. All right, everybody, take care. Stay safe and well, and I will see you soon. Bye.